time in the ICU doesn't move forward so much as it pools. It gathers around small sounds, the metronome beep of a monitor, the soft sigh of a ventilator, and waits there until you notice it again. Days are measured in milliliters and numbers on a screen, not dates. Nights are fluorescent. I learned to sleep sitting up, one foot hooked around the base of the chair so I wouldn't slide, my jacket folded into something that pretended to be a pillow. On the third day, when my son's skin still looked too thin for the world and his name felt like something I was borrowing until he could keep it himself, I sent a message to the family chat, "Please visit." I didn't explain. I didn't add emojis or soften it. I imagined my mother reading it and recognizing the tone I used when I didn't know how to ask for help without apologizing for existing. I imagined footsteps in a hallway, the hush that happens when someone comes into a room and shares the weight. Her reply came fast. "We're busy. It's not a good time." That was it. No follow-up question. He today. I stared at the words longer than I needed to, as if more might appear. I typed, erased, typed again. In the end, I said nothing. Silence felt safer than arguing with a sentence that had already decided what it was. Later that evening, hours later, when the light outside the windows had dimmed to a gray, blue that made everything look underwater, my phone buzzed again. Not a message directed to me. A post. Dinner plates arranged like a magazine spread. Candles. A caption about, "Fine getting everyone together." I noticed things I didn't want to notice, the good plates, the ones she saved. The way my sister's laugh caught the light. A wine bottle I recognized from holidays when I still believed effort counted as presents. I didn't cry. I didn't feel angry in the way movies promise anger will feel. It was flatter than that, like the moment you realize a chair you trusted has a loose leg and you adjust your weight without making a scene. After that, I stopped checking the chat. Life in the NICU narrows your field of vision. You learn the nurse's shoes by sound. You recognize the difference between alarms that mean pay attention and alarms that mean right now. Friends text and bring coffee and say the wrong things with the right intentions. Strangers sit beside you and say nothing, which turns out to be its own kind of kindness. The plastic chair became normal. My body adapted in small, unhappy ways. My mind did too. I learned how to be careful with hope. I learned how to hold my son's hand without imagining a future that could be taken back from me by a doctor's frown. In the quiet stretches, memories surfaced uninvited. Other moments when I'd asked and been told later. Other times when celebrations mattered more than crises, when being present was conditional on convenience. I saw the pattern not as a list of grievances but as a shape, the way you see a constellation once someone points it out. A month passed. My son gained weight measured in ounces that felt monumental. The doctor started using words like stable and progressing. I was still sleeping in the chair because going home felt like tempting fate. That's when my phone lit up. It buzzed and buzzed and buzzed, vibrating against the thin mattress of the chair until I grabbed it to make it stop. 91 missed calls. All from my sister. Texts stacked on top of each other like they were trying to climb out of the screen. "It's urgent." Kalil Basike, for a moment, muscle memory took over. The old reflex, drop everything, respond, fix. Then I noticed the pause between my breath in and my breath out. I noticed that nothing in the room had changed. My son's monitor kept its steady rhythm. The nurse gave me a look that said take your time without saying anything at all. I stepped into the hallway and called back. Our mother had collapsed. An ambulance. A hospital. Words came at me fast, sharpened by panic. I asked questions the way I'd learned to ask them here: where, which floor, what have they said? I didn't say I'm coming. I didn't say I'll be there. I said okay and meant I hear you. A man got on the line, a hospital administrator, he said, assuming I was already on my way. He spoke in the tone people use when they think authority and obligation are interchangeable. I interrupted him gently and told him where I was. There was a brief silence. Papers shuffled. His voice recalibrated. Plans adjusted in real time. Other names were mentioned. Other options. I can't leave. I said it wasn't dramatic. It wasn't an ultimatum. It was a fact, like a blood pressure reading. When I hung up, my sister texted again. Shock this time. Then frustration. Then a message that didn't land the way she meant it to. I can't believe you're doing this. I looked through the glass at my son, at the small rise and fall of his chest, and understood something with a clarity that surprised me. I wasn't doing anything. I was staying. The family rearranged itself without me. They found rides and coverage and people who could sit in waiting rooms. My mother recovered. Not immediately, not easily. But she recovered with a network that had always existed, just not for me in that chair. Guilt arrived, late and persistent. It sat beside me and tried to negotiate. You could have tried harder. This will change things. Maybe it would. Some changes are just acknowledgments that something already shifted. When my son finally moved to a crib, when the doctor shook my hand and said the word home, I felt a relief so quiet it almost passed for exhaustion. I packed up my jacket, unfolded from its makeshift pillow, and stood without wobbling for the first time in weeks. The family chat updates and relief and photos from a different hospital room. I read them without responding right away. Love didn't disappear, it just stopped pretending to be unconditional. At home, in the early hours when the house was finally dark, I held my son and listened to his breathing. I thought about the chair, about the messages I'd sent and not sent, about how power doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it settles in when you stop asking to be chosen and start choosing where you will stand. I didn't celebrate. I didn't cut anyone off. I slept, finally horizontal, knowing that some bonds had loosened and others had tightened, and that clarity, even when it hurt, was something I could live with.